Good morning, Year 6. I hope you all had an amazing weekend. And can you believe that we're already in our last week already? It's our last week of Year 6, your last week of primary school, and we're not even at school together. Oh, it's such a shame. But hopefully, we've got a few things throughout the week, and we had a few things last week, so hopefully we can still have some of the primary school experience. So, let's get started. Today's the 13th of July, 2020. So writing that down and the date in Roman numerals, which I shouldn't even really need to put on screen anymore. You should all know what that is. And then today we're going to be exploring how British banknotes have evolved over time. So writing down our learning intention and off we go. So for today's lesson you'll need a pencil, paper, thinking hat, and you'll also need, if you can get one, a £5 note, a £10 note and a £20 note. If you haven't got one, don't worry, but if you've got any of those that you can have a look at during this lesson, that will be fantastic. So banknotes change over time and they're produced in a series. Changing the design on a note helps to stop forgeries or fake copies being made and means that new security features can be added. As we saw last week, banknotes feature important historical scenes, national symbols, architecture and local landscapes. The back of British banknotes each feature a famous person from history and depicts some of their achievements. So on the screen here, you'll see how banknotes have evolved over time. The current £10 note features the English novelist Jane Austen, and Jane Austen replaced Charles Darwin, famous naturalist and scientist. The series before Charles Darwin featured Charles Dickens, as you can see shown on screen, who was a famous author, and before him was Florence Nightingale, a famous nurse known for her work in improving conditions in hospitals during the Crimean War of the 1850s. Why were Jane Austen, Charles Darwin, Charles Dickens, and Florence Nightingale chosen to feature on a banknote? That's right, they all made substantial contributions to our society. Now let's have a look at how the £20 note has evolved over time. So the current £20 note, which was changed just this year, February this year, a new £20 note was introduced, and that one features J.M.W. Turner, who's also commonly known as William Turner, who was an artist. The series before him featured Adam Smith, an economist and philosopher, and before him was Edward Elgar, composer. Before that was Michael Faraday, the scientist, and before that, William Shakespeare, the playwright. So you'll see our £20 note has changed significantly over time, and you'll also see, looking at the pictures of the Queen, her image has also changed slightly, as well as the clothes that she has worn. The clothes are also used to represent the time that the £20 note represents. Over the last few years, banknotes have changed to become plastic or polymer. The first plastic note in the UK was the £5 note, and it was released in 2016. The first plastic £20 note, as we talked about, was released earlier this year. The following countries also use polymer-based banknotes: Australia, Brunei, Canada, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Romania, Singapore and Vietnam. Polymer notes are a better and more economical way to produce money, as they are cheaper to make. They last 2.5 times longer than paper money, they're waterproof and nearly indestructible, although some people have tried to destroy them. Do not try this at home. Damaging money is a criminal offence. But if you wanted to find out a bit more, you can go to the link shown on screen. There have been so many changes in the last few years with looking at our British banknotes, and nearly all of our notes have now changed from paper to polymer. We've still got one more to go, so next year, 2021, the £50 note will be changed to feature Alan Turing, and that will be also plastic as well. So generally the requirement for being featured on a banknote seems to be that you have to be deceased. But If you were to think of a living person who is worthy of featuring on our banknote, who would you choose and why? So, how well do you know the £5 note? I want you to grab your £5 note. If you have one in front of you, it makes this a lot easier. And count how many fives or the word five can you find. So 5 in digits or 5 in words. How many can you see on your banknote? Pause the video here and count up as many as you can. Brilliant. Did you find them all? There are actually over 20 featured on the banknote. But you never realised there was that many, did you? What else do you notice? Pause the video here and just make a note of anything you notice on the £5 banknote. Brilliant. So, you may have noticed that on the 5 on the left hand side has a pound symbol in front of it. This is the only one that has the pound symbol in front of it. The Bank of England is written in a very ornate script. You might notice that there's a signature of Victoria Cleland, who was the chief cashier of the Bank of England up until 2018, and her signature features on it. And you'll notice that it has its own colour scheme. Why do you think the colour scheme is so important? That's right, it makes it easily identifiable, so you don't accidentally hand over a £20 note instead of a £5 note. What about the back of the note? You'll see there is a portrait of Winston Churchill. And Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister during the Second World War. A picture of the Nobel Prize in Literature medal, which Churchill won in 1953, is also featured. Big Ben is set to 3 p.m, which is the time he made the speech, which is quoted on the note, where he said, "I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat." You'll also notice that there is a watermark of the Queen, and Big Ben is visible from both sides of the note. And what you may or may not have noticed is right in the bottom right hand corner, there is a serial number, which is comprised of digits and of different colours, sizes, of fonts and spacing. This is all done on purpose to make each banknote unique. So, what is your task today? Well, generally, the requirement for appearing on a banknote is that someone be deceased. That means they have to have died. If it was possible to include a living person on a banknote, who would you choose and why? Give as much detail as you can about why you think this person deserves to be on a banknote and represent the country. Then, make a list of important information about that person, such as where they live, major achievements in their life, and any quotes you know they've made which you think are inspiring. As an extension activity, try drawing the back of your note, including as much information and detail about the person as you can. Think about the details included on the £5 note about Churchill. Also, remember to include the key features of a banknote. Once you've done that, we'd love to see your version of a banknote. So remember to email it to us at the email address shown on screen, yr6@grange.harrow.sch.uk. Have a great day, Year 6. Bye.